April 8th, 2025. It's 10 a.m. We're in city chambers, and I call the city commission regular meeting to order. Commissioners present, Mr. Duval, Commissioner Langdon, Mayor Stokes, Vice Mayor Emmerich, Commissioner Petra. So quorum present for the meeting. Also present, City Manager Fletcher, Interim City Attorney Golan, City Clerk Faust, Board Specialist Lane. We have Fire Chief Titus, and we have Police Chief Garrison. Who are we going to use? Let's see here. Mr. Hines, would you care to lead us in the pledge?
Be honored to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All righty. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move.
Second.
A motion made by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner, what is your name? Thank you. To approve the agenda. Please vote. It's early.
Yeah, it's going to be a good day.
Yes. I didn't take. Sorry about that. That passes 5-0. City Clerk, any general public comments?
Carrie Murphy. Because of the rezoning and referendums, I've become more involved in what's going on in my city and what my taxes are paying for. The past 6 months have been eye-opening. But it's the assault on our hometown values and our beloved parks that pushed me to speak out. Let me remind you, you were elected to represent the entire constituency, to set policy and legislate for the people. You've rezoned our once quiet neighborhoods against our wishes. Now you want to defund the reason we live here. I read you don't want to open the city to Doge, but are perfectly content to Doge the parks. You're cutting at the very fabric of Northport. I speak for my neighbors and myself. We will not stand by the wayside while you monetize and commercialize our hometown. Buckle up. We are going to speak up. And in person, we have Charles Hines.
You.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to address you. For the record, Charles Hines, and I'm Trust for Public Lands Program Director for the Florida Gulf Coast Trail. And before I address the consent item J, I just want to say to you all the local governments that I work with and travel around, the city of Northport always wins the best decorated. So when I walked in this morning, I'm like, oh boy, that looks wonderful. So, and I also come to you, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am a lifelong resident of South Sarasota County. And growing up here, very much familiar with the reality that South County was denied a lot of infrastructure and amenities. And I'll say that Northport, of all of South County, was probably hit the hardest when it came to that in the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s. So I want to talk to you about item J and the Florida Gulf Coast Trail, because now I really believe is a time for Northport to fully embrace this trail. I'm happy to see that the design for the cost of this is going to hopefully move forward. To put this off in any way, as we've learned in the past, things don't get cheaper. The time's now, the land's there, you have public support for this. This is working at the trail as a whole, I left a map up there so you guys can see. This isn't just a Northport segment. This is part of a 420-mile state regional trail system. And public space, public trailheads along the trail is what makes it unique. And Moore Mineral Springs would be one of the best. What I'll also add is you all have a tremendous amount of support. It's not just Northport that's in this. Sarasota County has money set aside. They've paid for design. They bought those 3 lots. They want to go forward. The MPO supports it, Big Water Trust, Friends of the Legacy Trail, Gulf Coast Community Foundation, the state of Florida, and obviously Trust for Public Land fully supports this. So what's key is what I've learned to unlock other money, I'm going to say it again, to unlock other money, is have it designed, have local money in it, so that when you go to the state or the feds or anybody else, or even Sarasota County, is it's designed, it's ready to go. And if you don't, they always push back and say, where's the local input? And you have that. Let me add one other thing, is look what you have going on around you right now. River Road's being built, trail's there. South River Road's been designed, trail's part of it. Sarasota County just going to put an $8.5 million into upgrading Snook Haven. They bought additional land next to Bob Johnson's Landing. They bought the campground out by Snook Haven. You are in an ecotourism bullseye. We need this trail, and it will be the catalyst to revitalize War Meadow Springs. So please move forward and see this bigger picture, how everything fits in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments?
That's all.
Alrighty. Announcements there, City Clerk.
The current vacancies for the following boards and committees include Art Advisory Board, Auditor Selection Committee, Charter Review Advisory Board, Citizen Tax Oversight Committee, Environmental Advisory Board, Firefighters Pension Trust Fund Board of Trustees, Historic and Cultural Advisory Board, Joint Management Advisory Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and Veterans Park Advisory Committee. Sarasota County Advisory Council vacancies include one resident of Northport to serve on the Citizen Advisory Committee. If anyone would like more information, please see the City Clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the consent agenda, City Manager, any items been pulled?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, one item for J, which is 25-2095.
Alrighty. And I don't have to ask who pulled it since I was the one. Do we want to address this item first, or do we want to approve the consent agenda? Make a motion?
I'll make it. I move to approve the consent agenda, pulling item J, 25-2095 for discussion.
Right, got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor to approve the consent agenda, accepting J for discussion. Let's go ahead and vote. And that passes 5-0. All right, I guess this is my item.
Can we hold on? The system just said that vote failed.
No, it passed 5-0.
My monitor said failed. I just want to make sure it was recorded properly.
No problem. On this item, the reason I pulled it, you know what I want to say, I absolutely support a legacy trail connection at Mineral Springs. My whole reason for pulling this is to have one final discussion. We've already, you know, approved design work. This is a $700,000 ask for design and engineering services for this trailhead. And I just wanted to talk a little about it because there are other things in play, you know, accepting the fact that this is a project that we ultimately want to do. My question is, we have a conservation easement that still has many, many months to go. We've received absolutely no updates whatsoever about the status of that and where it stands. We have issues about that I've brought up before about the fact that this would be a trail to nowhere, in my opinion, for the time being, since there's nothing else at Mineral Springs. There's no sidewalks on Ortiz coming up Ortiz to 41. There's really nothing there. And so my question is the timing of this right? Not should we, but is the timing of it right? And furthermore, I haven't had, or I haven't heard any discussion we've had about the maintenance of this connection. You know, I know it's basically a multimodal, but there's going to be bathrooms. There's going to be some maintenance costs. I don't know what those are. Are they $20,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year? I'd like to hear some of that. what's involved in connecting water and sewer to the bathrooms there, what exactly would go in there. And again, it's to me a concern of timing. You know, we're in a lean year. We're trying to save every dollar we can in every place we can. I appreciate that everything goes up as you push things off in time. But we're not talking about buying materials here or building. We're talking about a design and engineering study. It's paper. If this, you know, if Kimley Horn wants this job, they ought to be able to hold the price. If not, maybe we ought to consider talking to someone else. If a year's delay is going to change it. I guess my thought is, do we want to make this decision and spend $700,000 today and then find that there's things that might have to change down the road, depending on the conservation easement and discussions about what's going to go on the 60 acres? Because we've not had any of those discussions currently in connection with the conservation easement. So again, I just want to hear what everybody else has to say and, you know, let majority rule. Vice Mayor.
This is probably going to be a question for Miss Sandy. If I could have her come down for a minute. Thank you, ma'am. Since Mayor brought it up, would the conservation easement have anything to do with allowing the trailhead to come in and be hooked up? Because that would be a passive type thing for that area, wouldn't it?
Mr. Vice Mayor, the conservation easement, as it will come before you, you will have that determination. And that project itself that you're referencing, the Legacy Trail, will still be a passive use of the land as you deem it for your
That's what I'm saying,
project.
because I don't really think it has a big issue with the conservation easement is what I was getting at.
This project of the Legacy Trail will not have any conflict with the conservation easement to make it passive, which is what the board has given direction for.
Right, and that's why I wanted to bring that up since the mayor had brought that up. My other question was about how long are we looking at for this design phase when Kimley Horn gets the go-ahead or the green light? When are we looking at getting this design finalized and possibly going forward? Is that 6 months, a year? I mean, what timeline are we approximately looking at?
So yesterday morning, we sent an email answering the question regarding the timeline shows a total of 910 days for the services to be complete, or 2.5 years. Design and engineering is expected to take 1.5 years to complete, which puts us in fiscal year 27 before being able to put the project out to bid for construction.
My main thing with this is we've discussed this on many times, and this is our portion. This is our skin in the game. This is where we need to get up and get it moving and be ready to connect to it. My final question is, do we have any timelines on when the construction of the rehab of the buildings is going to start taking place?
I'm going to ask our project manager, Tim Humphrey, to come down and answer that.
And I called the wrong person, sorry.
Good morning, Kim Humphrey, Public Works Project Manager. So we are getting ready to kick off the War Mineral Springs, I guess what a historic renovation is the name we landed on. Essentially, that'll be a year to a year and a half between design and permitting. So these projects are very close in timeline. And you had asked the question about utilities. You know, you may remember we're bringing utilities into that site as part of War Mineral Springs project. So the intent is that the new trailhead would hook into those new utilities just directly after they're put in. But if we do get the grant that we've requested, there's a little bit of extra time involved in that process. You know, the granting agency wants to review the documents before they go out to bid. We have to do a hard bid. There's just some other requirements that extend the time frame.
And that's one of my major concerns. By having the skin in the game, we can go ahead and apply for those grants throughout this process to where when the hookup and everything is imminent and coming in, we could be already in line with getting everything done. So I'm in support of this project starting now. So I'm just saying, I'd rather get in, get it done, and let's work and get Warm Meadow Springs done. This way, when we have a grandioso grand opening, it's all there, ready to go. So
That would be ideal.
and that's just my opinion. So thank you, ladies, very much. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Langdon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Beyond having both of these projects come together from a time frame point of view being ideal, I think that should be a requirement, that we make sure that both celebrations happen simultaneously. In the past, I've gone on the record, my concern about this project was bringing people into that area with the buildings and the property at the Springs being in such a shambles. So the fact that these two projects are very close, and I have all the confidence in staff to make sure that they happen pretty much simultaneously, I'm feeling better about it. Also, borrowing on earlier conversations, another concern I had was the condition of that 60 acres, which hasn't materially improved, except I understand, I don't know if Chief needs to come down and confirm this again, but it's my understanding that the homeless colonies on that 60 acres indeed have been removed. Again, I'm reluctant to bring people into a property that isn't safe. So as long as that property is safe and the buildings at Warm Mineral Springs have been historically restored, I'm in support of moving forward. We do know that across the board, being shovel-ready is a requirement for qualifying for a lot of grants. And so Vice Mayor Emmerich kind of asked my question, which is, would completing this study put us in a better position of attracting more money? And I think I heard a yes. So I'm feeling better about that. And, you know, again, no secret, I've gone on the record about being concerned about maintenance costs for our parks. But I'm going to rely on staff to keep those costs in check. And I'll go on the record. If we have to increase the millage rate to support our parks, then we'll increase the millage rate to support our parks. Seems to be the general tenor of the community. So there you go. I appreciate the mayor bringing it up. It requires multiple looks. This is a big project. It's a very important property, and it's critical that we do it right. So thanks for bringing it up, but I'm thinking we do need to move forward with this at this point.
City Manager, I saw you nodding your head over there.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out too also something we wrote yesterday, which was related back to the grants that Commissioner Langdon and Vice Mayor spoke on. And it said, completing the design and having a shovel-ready project significantly enhances eligibility for construction grant opportunities, of which staff has already applied for per commission direction to the federally funded recreational trails programs in the amount of $450,000 and the state-funded Sun Trail Grant Program in the amount of $3.73 million. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Commissioner, we have never said that the parks would require an increase in the millage rate, or I don't know if there's some history behind that comment, but we've never said that. Just for the record.
I'm just putting it out there.
Okay, all right.
Just be
Okay.
happy it was offered, sir.
Right.
Thank you.
We'll see what the community says.
Jeez.
Yeah. I do have
yeah.
one other question. There was some conversation a while ago that there was not a grant, but that the Gulf Coast Community Foundation was holding some type of fund that was earmarked for the maintenance of Northport Parks. Was I dreaming that, or was that indeed a fact?
The Gulf Coast Community Foundation has made a contribution to this project, which is included in the funding. It's about $33,000. The, any funding that they would provide for parks, I think you may be recalling the discussion about the conservation easement. And they were going to work with the Conservation Foundation, now known as Big Waters, and they were going to help fund the conservation easement. But there was not a discussion about general parks that I'm aware of.
Interesting. I'll double check my notes on that. Thank you.
Right.
I'm all set.
Commissioner Duval.
Thank you, Mayor. As Mr. Hines first mentioned in his public comment, in order to get things done overall, people want our part of it in place. I feel that a step not taken is a step backwards. And in this city, we've already seen, I'm going to use Price Boulevard as an example. How long was it delayed and pushed back? This bill from Kimley Horn is a lot of money. But we've pretty much decided that we want to do this. This is a plus for the state, for Southwest Florida, for the city of Northport. I just say go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. One quick question before we can pull this together. With regard to Vice Mayor's comment and City Manager about the conservation easement, as the conservation easement comes together, does everything that we hopefully wish to do on that property have to be delineated in the conservation easement? So it has to be very clear, like if the Legacy Trail Connector's not in that, then we can't do it. If a half shell is not in that, we can't do it. If there's a botanical garden and we want to do it and it's not in there, we can't do it. Because I just want to make sure that we don't find ourselves in a position of spending tax dollars on something only to find that we get boxed out and we end up, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to coordinate the pieces here. And I know, we're living in a void on the conservation easement. I have no idea where that stands, what's going on, what's been talked about, what projects they're considering accepting out of that land. So I just want to make sure.
So there was a memo sent, I believe it was sent to commissioners, that we put together providing an update on the conservation easement. It is our intent to bring forward a draft general terms document, which is what we've been working on with all the stakeholders, so that the commission can see what would be involved in it. And there would be agreement on those general terms that would then go into the actual conservation easement. So in those terms, we talk about what use would be done in the conservation easement, what would be outside the easement, which is the property that we would actually subdivide that parcel, and the things that are more intrusive would be in the other parcels, not in the conservation easement. So we have detailed all of that in this document and are looking to bring that forward, hopefully the last meeting in May for your review and input.
So,
Beautiful.
Mr. Mayor, the memo was sent out to commission on March 19th, and it states that the general, they developed the guide creation of the easement, and that the next steps are being taken and outlined those. And then it states that the commission will come back for review on May 27th at your regular meeting for discussion.
Beautiful. All right, that's good. And it'll have that was the big thing, is I saw the memo, obviously, and I read it, but I wanted to make sure that we would actually be able to see those things that you all have considered accepting from the conservation easement, so we don't do something and find that we're, oops. So, good. I appreciate the dialogue. Again, I pulled it because I wanted one more discussion, because after all, it is, as Commissioner DeVal said, $700,000. And I want to make sure, there is no question that we want to do this, and no question in my mind, this is the right thing to do. I think it'll be a great enhancement to the city, the county, the state. So, with that, unless there's anything else to it, I'm entertaining the motion.
I'll make it. Okay. Move to approve item J of the consent agenda, 25-2095, as presented.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve item J, 25-2096. Do we need to read it back, City Clerk, or we go? 2195, I'm sorry. No? All right, then with that, let us vote. And that passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Moving on, public hearings.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 2025-10. City Clerk, would you read by title only, please?
Ordinance number 2025-10, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the code of the City of Northport, Florida, Section 26-3 and 26-7, relating to fire sprinklers and exceptions to fire sprinklers, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Good man. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the City Commission regular meeting held on March 18th, 2025, the City Commission continued ordinance number 2025-10 to second reading as presented. On today, which would be April 8th, 2025, we ask that you approve ordinance number 2025-10 today as presented.
Thank you, sir. Questions and discussions, Commissioners? Anything to this? Nothing there. Public comments?
There is none.
Then I'm looking for motion.
I'll make it. I move to adopt ordinance number 2025-10 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor to adopt ordinance 2025-10 as presented. There's nothing else to that. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. Yeah, just 1 second reading. It looks like it. Moving on to resolutions. D, Resolution 2025-R-21. City Clerk, would you read this by title only, please?
Resolution number 2025-R-21, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, accepting the conveyance of Tract 9 of Welland Park Downtown Phase 1 replat, bearing Sarasota County Property Appraiser Parcel Identification Number 078-307-0090, and approximately 20 acres of real property located in the southern half of Section 34, Township 39 South, Range 20 East, bearing Sarasota County Property Appraiser Parcel Identification Number 078-801-0003, and authorizing the conveyance of approximately 63 acres of real property located in the northeast quarter of Section 3, Township 40 South, Range 20 East, bearing Sarasota County Property Appraiser Parcel Identification Number 079-700-1100, providing for filing of documents, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Well, that's a mouthful. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On November 12th, 2024, the City Commission approved the First Amendment and restatement of Welland West Villages Developer Agreement. The restated agreement updates and restates stipulations to meet the current level of service standards and the changing needs based on development patterns within the subject property. The restated agreement outlined the conveyance of 2 parcels from WVLP to the city for the development of needed government infrastructure as follows. General government land, approximately 6037 acre parcel of land lying in Section 32, Township 39 South, Range 20 East, bearing Sarasota County Property Appraisal Parcel Identification Number 078-307-0090, and the Public Works parcel, approximately 20 acres of the 51.9 acre parcel of land lying in the south half of Section 34, Township 39 South, Range 20 East, bearing Sarasota property appraisal parcel number 07880010003. The parcels are being conveyed fee simple with the marketable titles. The restatement outline and conveyance of the one parcel from the city of WVLP as follows: the approximate 63-acre park. This approximately 63-acre parcel was previously conveyed by WLPP to the city back to them. As specified in the restated agreement, they have identified and served an alternate parcel for potential sports facility parcel and the sports tourism park. We ask that you approve resolution number 2025-R21 as presented. We're happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, just on this item, I had a couple questions and a comment. These are two of the parcels are as you head from Legacy towards Venice, and you make the left turn on River Road. To the left, on the left side, there are those two parcels. One is envisioned to be a public works facility to help mitigate the amount of equipment and vehicles that need to traverse back and forth from downtown to there. So that's a good thing. The other is a parcel that I believe is earmarked for parks, a park recreational kind of area. Am I correct, City Manager?
Yes, sir. Based on one is a sports facility parcel, and the other is a sports tourism park.
Right. The sports, not the tourism park one, but because that's a rather larger piece. I would just hope that we consider more soccer fields because we need them. With regard to the sports tourism project, I remember reading all that West Village's documentation regarding this, and in the movement of parcels back and forth, I believe we have, if I remember, 6 years from the time this is approved to make some determination as to what the city wishes to do on that large, rather almost 60-acre parcel that might be a sports tourism piece. If we don't make a decision to do something there, it reverts back to the district for the district to do whatever it chooses to do development-wise. So I raise that issue only because sports tourism is one of those things that at some point in time may have seemed very attractive, whether today, in light of some of the other things that have taken place in and around Southwest Florida, it may or may not be as good an idea as it was when it was originally thought of. So I'm concerned only that we have a 6-year window. While it sounds like a lot of time, it's really not. And I would hate to see the city lose the opportunity to take advantage of that 60-acre parcel. It's 58, I think, and change. But that parcel, and have it revert back for developer development when the city could utilize it for something that we want to use it for. So I just raise that. I don't want it to fall off the radar screen for us. Other than that, that's really all I have to say on this item. Anybody else got anything on this one? All right. So where are we? Public comments?
There is none.
Well, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2025-R-21 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to adopt resolution 2025-R-21 as presented. If there's nothing else to that, let's vote, folks. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to resolution number 2025-R-28. City Clerk, if you'd be kind enough to read this by title only.
Resolution number 2025-R-28, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, appointing James Toll to the position of hearing officer with the authority to hear and decide matters related to enforcing the city's codes, as well as zoning-related matters, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Golan, this is your item, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution will reappoint Attorney James Toll for a 4-year term as a code enforcement hearing officer for the city to preside over code enforcement matters as authorized by the city code, as well as appointment as the zoning enforcement hearing officer to preside over matters required under the city's Unified Land Development Code.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, questions, discussion? Mr. Langdon?
I have just a quick question. Who does Mr. Toll report to? And I guess what I'm really asking is, where does the evaluation of his work happen?
So ultimately, I believe it would be the commission that would evaluate Mr. Toll and whether or not he retains his appointment or is removed from the position as hearing officer. Comes from the commission. The board will appoint him, the board will remove him.
But I guess what I'm asking, what data do we use to make that determination?
I don't believe there's an official evaluation form that's used like for other employees, as he's a vendor for the city. City staff might be able to weigh in as far as how they believe he's performing through code enforcement, maybe those employees that handle code enforcement.
Okay, just
City
curious.
manager has an idea.
Thank you.
CM?
Yes, he said, thank you, as in you're good with the answer, or thank you, you would like staff to?
No, I'm good with the answer,
Okay.
but I was just curious.
Okay.
Only comment I have is, as Mr. Toll submitted all his invoices, and does he understand that, while we appreciate he might enjoy working for free, we do want to compensate him appropriately for the work he does, and because I remember some discussion in a one-on-one about that, and he understands he needs to forward them on in a relatively timely fashion.
I'm sure we will get that situation ironed out, now that it's been mentioned.
Yes, super. All right. If there's nothing else from commission, any public comments on this one? Then I'll close the public hearing, request a motion.
I'll move to adopt resolution number 2025-R-28 as presented.
There we go. Got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval to adopt resolution 2025-R-28 as presented. If there is nothing more to that, let us vote. And that passes 5-0. We moving on. D, resolution number 2025-R-29. City Clerk, if you're kind enough to read it by title only.
Resolution number 2025-R-29, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, approving a template for contraband forfeiture settlement agreement, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Northport Police Department has the legal authority under the Florida Contraband Forfeiture Act to seize and initiate forfeiture actions against property involved in unlawful activities. Under the same act, the City Commission of Northport has the authority to negotiate and enter into settlement agreements concerning forfeiture matters. As a result of entering into an agreement, the cost, delay, and uncertainty of litigation to the parties would be avoided. The city would not initiate a forfeiture action, and the claimant would then waive any and all rights under the act. Once the template is approved, the city manager or designee would be able to sign all subsequent settlement agreements without further commission approval. We ask that you approve resolution number 2025-R-29 to allow these actions. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Commission, any questions, discussions? Nothing to this one. All right. Any public comment?
There is none.
Then I'll close this public hearing, request a motion.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2025-R-29 as presented.
And we've got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval to adopt resolution 2025-R-29 as presented. We're voting. And That passes 5-0. Moving on to general business. A 25-2000. City manager, this is your item, sir.
Mr. Mayor, this is an item that would actually approve you adding to your commission contingency fund for your program that you actually provide for your assistance to those in need. That's all I have on the request, unless someone else has anything to add to it.
Yeah. Commissioners, any discussion on this one?
We've done it just about every year.
Commissioner Langdon?
I just have a quick question. What's the balance on the fund that this transfer is coming out of?
Oh, well, oh,
Yes.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Fowler, Accountant 3 in Finance. So the balance is 50,000 in your contingency fund.
Okay, terrific.
We
Thank
can
you.
afford it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, my only concern was it's early in the year. I just wanted to make sure that there would be sufficient balance to do this again if we needed to.
very good. Anybody else? City clerk, any public comments?
There is none.
And I'll request a motion.
Make it move to approve a transfer in the amount of $2,000 from the commission contingency to Community Assistance Special Event Assistant Program to support fee assistant requests through fiscal year 2025.
Second?
We've got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve a transfer in the amount of $2,000 from the commission contingency to Community Assistance Special Events Assistance Program to support fee assistance requests through fiscal year 2025. If there's nothing else to that, let us vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on, general business B, 25-2109. This is discussion possible action regarding rescheduling the 4 p.m. City Commission regular meetings held on the first Thursday of each month. It was requested by Commissioner Petro. City manager is not here to introduce the item, so I see no reason why Commissioner Petro can't do that since this is his item. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In short, I propose combining our monthly proclamations, recognitions, and awards meeting into our 6 p.m. monthly meetings to be moved at 3 p.m. meetings. And looking backwards, our proclamations, recognitions, and awards meetings are very short meetings in nature, and it just makes sense to combine them with our regular agenda city business meetings. There might be some concerns about overlapping or going into late night. But what I'm proposing is moving them at 3 p.m. before our road and drainage, solid waste, and fire meetings, and at 3 o'clock. And I would like to list some benefits to it. First, it just seems logical and efficient to pull the staff personnel, security personnel, the use of our this chambers one less time a month as opposed to the current way, as it's currently held on the first Thursdays of each month. Talking about government efficiency. Switching to an earlier time, our staff personnel will be able to be present and recognized or awarded. And I do believe the Sarasota County has a similar setup, but I'm open for the discussion or any suggestions or any thoughts on this item. I just feel that it might be beneficial for everybody else, not just the commission, but for our city to be more efficient and more responsible with the use of our resources. Instead of coming 3 times, we can come 2 times as a commission board. But it's not just for us to come less. to the city and be on the public display. I think it's better for us to utilize and be more efficient. But I'm open, like I said, for any suggestions.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Langdon?
Thank you, Mayor. I support doing something along these lines. We've had a lot of conversations in the past, both in public and in private with residents, about attracting younger commissioners to this board, attracting younger people to run for commission. And right-sizing the pay was a big step toward making that happen. I also acknowledge that a younger commissioner is most likely running a business or working in a primary job. And unlike those of us who are retired and have a lot more time latitude to attend meetings and events, that we need to be accepting of younger commissioners. Having said that, though, I have a question and probably one other comment. Well, let me back up. Whether we put it at 9 o'clock before our 10 o'clock day meeting or 3 o'clock before our 4 o'clock district meetings, is there any concern on the part of staff that we would constrain those recognition proclamation meetings? I mean, our experience over the past few months has certainly been that we get them done within the hour. But are there any concerns that we might have timing issues with that change?
City Clerk, you might want to address that.
The only issue, and I don't think it's staff-wise, is public. So when we have any recognition that's either for students or members of the public, I know in the past that was one of the discussions, was the timing for them to be here and not be in school or to work-wise.
So that's sort of after school.
Yes. So 9 o'clock, I think that would probably not be the
Not
best
be good.
option.
And 3 would be, well, that's a little tight also. Would we dare consider 4 to 5, or sorry, 5 to 6 in between the districts? Again, same concern. Our district meetings tend to wrap up pretty efficiently. But would staff have any concerns with a 5 to 6? Anyone else have?
I thought you were asking her a question.
Well, I'm asking all of us.
Well,
What I was gonna ask her is, like, when we have those district meetings, are they time sensitive to 4 o'clock? Or can they be adjusted? Like, let's say we had the 4 PM proclamation meeting, then we went into districts, then we went into regular meeting. An hour for each one, and then however long the regular meeting would be. Is that feasible?
No, the agenda states a 4 PM or shortly thereafter for all of them. So that would work. The only issue that would only be is if we do have 3 district meetings and they are not just the quick and easy ones. Sometimes they do go, if there's a hot item on there, they go a little longer. So that will push into the 6 o'clock meeting as well.
Right, but we could also open the 6 o'clock meeting and then go back and revisit the district meeting and then move on, correct? Just pause it? Do we have to be time sensitive at 6 o'clock for
No.
that meeting?
That one says shortly thereafter as well. But
Well, if we know where we're at in that meeting, we could just go ahead and say, okay, we're gonna put this on pause, open this meeting, and go. We've done it before, and then go back to the original meeting, finish it up, and then go back to the regular meeting.
yes.
I'm just trying to come up with a working plan to where if we still start at 4 o'clock, we should be able to get everything done. As long as it's a very light evening agenda, city manager.
We cannot make that promise, sir, but we will try our best.
That's it, I'm not supporting it, I'm done. But I just want to make sure if we did it that way, it may work to where, like the next week, we wouldn't have to come back on Tuesday or whatever the case may be. And, I seen the schedule that I was looking for, and I was hoping to get it all done like in a day meeting to where 4 o'clock, the proclamations would be pretty much the last thing. And then depending on how long the day meeting lasted, because you can always stop that, go to proclamations, and go back to your meeting and finish it up too.
And
Go ahead, sir.
May I respond, Mr. Mayor? So, and from our perspective, the reason why we recommended the 3 p.m. that we talked to Commissioner Petrol was because you're not going to get staff here at 5 o'clock for a recognition meeting. They are going to come during most likely the hours that they already designated to work because they have other obligations outside of their work hours. So if you do move it to 5 o'clock as opposed to 3 o'clock, please prepare to receive a lower attended meeting for your proclamations and your welcoming of.
Right, but we also it's not just staff getting recognized, it's citizens as well and groups. So we got to do the best for all somehow. That's why I said if we did it still at 4 o'clock with the proclamations and stuff, we're usually done within an hour.
That is true.
And then you go to your district meetings, and then you go to your regular meetings. That's all I was looking at. If it was scheduled that way, I think it could work.
Yes, sir.
That's all I had, Mayor. I just wanted to see if we could get it working in line, that's all.
Yeah, you see, at first I was against this, then I'm listening and I'm sort of leaning the other way. But, I look at, on the one hand, 4 o'clock is a really good time because it's late enough for community to be here after school for recognitions. And it's early enough for people who are still working, employees who can come here, or those who really do want to finish up their work at 4 but come right over here. And then I have the basic issue. I'm not so convinced that this is what I would, with all the opportunities to create efficiencies within our city government, I'm not sure that this is one of the highest priority items for me. And quite frankly, I question whether if it isn't broke, why fix it? Just don't see why we're doing this. I just question the intent, but that's all I have to say. Commissioner Duval.
The only thing I have to say about it is, I agree with Commissioner Emmert about the possibility of a pause in meetings. It's been done before. The main thing from my point of view is to just try to be flexible. It's hard to accommodate everybody every time on everything, but just try to be as flexible as possible.
Okay, Mr. Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as a discussion progresses, I just want to make a point that it is not the highest priority. The only reason why I'm proposing this, well, there are a couple benefits, but the reason why I'm proposing this is to make it more efficient, the whole city to function. Instead of 3 times using these chambers, pulling everybody in just 1 day extra, we're utilizing a lot of resources, and thus expenses are getting higher. But as far as the timing, we're only changing from 4 p.m. to 3 p.m. I don't think it's a big deal as far as to accommodate or not accommodate. I mean, if I've been recognized by somebody, I would leave my work, my school. It's a very valid excuse, and people they are not recognized on a continuous basis. It's maybe once in a lifetime. So that's regarding the timing from 4 p.m. to 3 p.m. But thus we eliminating 1 extra meeting a month. Hence, I mean, not that I'm looking for less work, but we can accommodate more people, I think. Like city manager said that some people will not come. And that's been true. Some people cannot come as a staff personnel at 4 or later because they've been working and they're about to leave home. You can't go home and come back. But if it's 3 o'clock, they can be here. I don't know, I'm open for suggestions or discussions.
Vice Mayor.
Okay. Now it's time to put the other hat on. I got no issues coming in here to have a meeting for proclamations, welcoming the new employees, and leaving it just at that. Because depending on, sometimes we've had this chamber full on recognitions, and it may take a little bit longer to get through everybody with pictures and stuff like that. And it is their special moment. I wouldn't want to down the road say, oh, we got a meeting at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. We got to get through this, to take away from their special moment. And again, and it goes back to Commissioner Langdon saying, you know, yeah, we could be more efficient with having, you know, younger people here and coming to these meetings, but still, it's still part of the job to be here at those meetings. So even if it's an hour-long meeting or an hour and a half long meeting, for those recognitions, I feel it's an important process for the citizens themselves, especially if they're within the, you know, the art club or the tree club or whatever club they are, and they did something special, they get their recognition, and then they can hobnob with everybody afterwards and not be rushed and just have a blessed moment.
Sometimes there's coffee and soft drinks and cookies and other things afterwards. It just seems like we're packing a whole lot into a short period of time for no reason, in my estimation.
Well, that's why I switched hats, but I'm just saying, I see the pros and cons on both sides, but I got no issues with the way we're doing it now. I understand where he's saying we're coming here an extra day. Well, Sergeant Hom, we should be here, you know, and we should be representing and helping the citizens the best as possible. You know, staff is going to be here regardless, whether we're here or not. They're going to be in the building somewhere. So we can use them more.
Thank
That's
you,
all.
Vice Mayor.
That's
Commissioner
all I
Langdon.
got.
Boy, I mean, good arguments on both sides of this issue. I did have a thought earlier. I don't know if it makes any sense, but I'll throw it out anyway. What if we split it up? What if we welcomed new employees on the agenda of our day meeting, let's say, and then had proclamations and awards attached to another meeting? I think that way, certainly, I'd feel a lot more comfortable that we could fit those things into an hour. Fit those things into an hour without bumping into any other meeting. I'm just kind of trying to think of creative ways of approaching this. Because again, I do think, and I'm thinking toward the future, if we get younger commissioners who are doing this in conjunction to a day job, getting out of work, it can be easier to get out of work once for a longer period of time than twice for two shorter periods of time. I know I'm working more on the commission angle because I've been thinking a lot about that recently. So I don't know, just throwing it out for conversation.
In response to that, one, you know, again, staff would have better insight than I would, but 9 o'clock in the morning is the beginning of the workday. Having new employees here and having their support staff here for you know, welcome. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, but it may well be a disruption to the workflow in the workday. 4 o'clock is pretty much the end of the workday. And then I guess I just got to say it, while I've certainly been a big proponent of trying to attract a younger pool of candidates to run for commission, because I think it's important. You know, we have a young city and a young community, And I've also been an advocate for right-sizing the compensation packages for commissioners because I think it does attract folks who are younger and who, with a slightly more respectable compensation package, will be attracted to the job. I totally believe this is a full-time job if you want to represent citizens of this city. It is not a part-time job. I don't think it lends itself to having another job. I think that it is actually not a good thing for people to split their loyalties. This is a city of 100,000 people, almost a $300 million budget, and we have a staff of superstars who are experts at what they do, who devote their full time, 40 hours plus. And I think the commission that represents the citizens should be doing almost an equal amount of time and effort. There is way more than attending a handful of meetings to doing a good job as a commissioner. It's engaging in the community. It's calling for additional workshops on subject matter that we want to be better at and more knowledgeable at. So I absolutely just don't see this. I just don't. It ain't broken. I say don't fix it. And all we're trying to do is fit this square peg in a round hole for whatever reason. I'm not sure. So that's all I have to say. Vice Mayor, you're up again, I guess.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Commissioner Langdon's comment about putting it on an evening meeting or a day meeting. To me, if it was pushed on an evening meeting, and then let's just say we have a heavy topic type of
2
evening,
in the morning.
then we're taken away from the recognition points again, because we're either going to try and rush through it and, have to contend with other issues. I just think I gotta agree with the mayor to where it is like set up to where it is like a special day for them to come in and get recognized, and then they can hang out afterwards, and we're done. Everybody goes home, and that's just a special thing for the citizens and the employees. So I would have to agree with the mayor and say, if it's not fixed, not broken, let's not try to fix it. That's where I'm at. I mean, I got both sides of the fence. I understand it, but I just think it is a special day for a lot of people out there. That's all.
City Clerk.
Yes, I believe in the past it was actually during the 10 o'clock meeting. You might remember Commissioner Emmerich. And what they did was they did a time sensitive for 4 o'clock. However, therefore, if your meeting ends at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock,
You're
then
coming back
you
at 4.
are coming back at 4 o'clock for that meeting as well. If it's going over, then we would just, not pause the meeting, but stop, go to that item, and then go back to whatever you had left on the agenda.
And why then, City Clerk, was it decided by commission at some point in time to move it to 4 o'clock?
It was already 4 o'clock. We just moved it to that Thursday, and I want to say it was because then you see how on your calendars we have that Thursday sectioned off for a special meeting in case the city manager needs a special meeting for any item. So it was to have that special meeting on that day if we need it. It's already reserved on your calendars, and then the 4 o'clock.
Bingo. Thank you, ma'am.
And it happens at the same time
time.
each month, the first Thursday of the month. So, I mean, it's pretty much a pattern.
Commissioner Petro.
Yes, I just want to clarify some things. Commissioner Langdon said that attracting new candidates for the board. I'm not sure if I'm following it. What does it have to do with moving the meeting, proclamations, awards, recognitions from 4 p.m. to 3 p.m.? What does it have to do with the younger pool of candidates to be present? Is it then
Well,
they can be?
what I stated, for someone, if someone has a full-time job, and I hear what the mayor said, and I don't disagree. I mean, I've always approached this as a full-time job, my number one priority. But if someone is working and doing this job in conjunction, I mean, I worked full-time in corporate for 35 years, and from my own experience, leaving the job twice a month for a longer period of time would have been easier for me to pull off with my management than multiple shorter departures from work. That was my only point. And then my comment of splitting the two things up was just, would it be more flexible from a scheduling point of view? No real intention on where you would plug it in, but if it was going to go as part of an agenda or just before or after a regularly scheduled meeting, it could provide perhaps a little bit more flexibility. But I see both sides of the issue. I pass.
Well, if there's, city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick comments. One, the 10 o'clock or the 9 o'clock option in the morning, we think is not as well as the afternoon, because of people who are, in addition to staff who come to get recognized, people who, and business partners and those who come to support some of the proclamations we have, them getting here, I believe, would be easier. Again, if it stayed in the afternoon, whether 3 or 4 o'clock, of course, is your choice, or even 5 o'clock. From their standpoint, the afternoon still works better. I think that, to Commissioner Langdon's point, and Commissioner Petra, the flexibility of allowing you to have a meeting that's already on a day that is already established lends for efficiency, because you're already there, and it adds to a meeting schedule pre-existing, as opposed to have one meeting on one day where there's not another meeting connecting to it. And then the last thing I'll say is, like, we had a meeting yesterday with the workshop, and we had staff as the presenter of, I believe it was 2 separate items. To maximize those days of meetings, having the commission submit items that they want to talk about on those days could extend that day. And make no mistake, we're going to have some meetings that come up with those kind of workshops, but they're mostly budget related. But if the commission wants to have a better venue and output opportunity, you adding items that you want to talk to staff about on those days could be helpful, because now you have us as an audience, you have your colleagues as an audience, and you're sort of brainstorming your way through a topic that you may want to talk about. So there's some opportunities there in those meetings to make them more impactful as well in the future for the opportunity of the commission. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, if there's nothing else to that,
Public comment.
yeah, we have any public comment on this?
There was none.
I don't know if anybody wants to offer up a motion here.
I can give it a shot, or
Yeah, I was
you trying to. Busily creating.
The motion I would say was, I would move to not change anything in the meetings that are set up for the new employees and proclamations for the citizens.
If you're not going to make any change, you don't need to actually have a motion.
Yeah, you don't need to make a motion.
Well, it said
It could
move
be
to
no
approve
action.
the rescheduling,
Yeah.
but
No, we don't have to have a motion if you're not going to change anything.
I wanted to make sure that everybody else was in agreement on that, don't you think?
Okay.
What if there was 3 no's? Then there's a change, right?
Nothing wrong with a motion.
Thank you.
And
We have a motion and a second. You want
We
to
have
spit
a-
it back out
right.
again, or what?
yeah, we have a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval. If the city clerk be kind enough to read it back, just for clarity.
I did not type it.
Preemptive editing.
A motion was made by Vice Mayor Stokes, seconded by Commissioner DeVal, to not make any changes to the annual schedule.
That's Vice Mayor Emrich,
Vice
not
Mayor
Stokes.
Emrich.
I know I've been maybe called first, but I mean, I don't know.
If I'm demoted. If there's nothing else to that, folks, let us vote. And that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Petro Abstain, or voting no dissent. Thank you. Thank you for that word I was groping for. Anything to that or for reasons stated?
No, just feel that it would be more efficient and more feasible, more realistic, more appropriate to have a combination of two meetings in one day, simply because the meeting is so short and it's literally we get up and leave. We don't hang around.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to General Business C, 25-21-46. This is possible, discussion possible action regarding the letter to support for Suncoast Technical College submission regarding the allocation of hurricane recovery funds to Sarasota County Board of County Commissioners. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was introduced or brought to us last meeting by Commissioner Duval, and direction was given to staff in order to write the letter included in the backup documentation for this item. We have submitted a letter, which is the exact same letter as we submitted for this particular pot of money in the fall of last year. In the fall of last year, we submitted it. The county commission separated the funding of $7.5 million to STC, but as well as to the BIA, which is the Business Industry Association, which is an arm of the Suncoast Builders Association. Both entities are very active and responsive for workforce training within Sarasota County. So they do supply the city of Northport both with an intention and a goal of helping us with our needs. When that money was split between those entities in the fall, they used our letter of recommendation at that time. So it is in our opinion that to write another letter would be duplicating our efforts in a way that they already know our intention of what their first decision was. It's my understanding that there hasn't been nothing that has changed from the information that was provided to the county when they made their original decision. This is a sort of a revisiting of the topic based on new commissioners, but our first letter still stands as a representation of our commitment to and support of STC to be one of those partners. So it is our recommendation as a staff that you don't need to do a new letter. That first letter stands for your support of making sure that the city of Northport gets the proper workforce training through trades, as it was mentioned. But we're happy to answer any questions, or I know Commissioner Duval was the leader on this. He may have some more comments, but hopefully we've given some more context and shine some light on the role of staff and what we did before and what you're asking to do now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Commissioners, questions, discussions. Commissioner Duval, right out of the box.
Yes, as the city manager just stated, a letter already has been written. And when I brought this up, I was basing the discussion on an editorial that I read in the newspaper. At that time, I was not aware that the city has already written that letter of support. So, as the city manager, says, we stand by that. And really, I don't think we really have to do anything else at this point. They know that we, the county commissioners know that we support our school. And if I had known, in advance that that letter had already been written, then I probably would not have brought it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, city manager's really gonna love me on this one. I mean, since we did have him go back and research all of this stuff and dust off that letter, it's just my opinion. I understand where, it could be redundant or repetitive, but when they go to revisit this item, there's a shiny letter sitting right there as well when they visit this item. Would the old letter still be in that backup when they go looking at monies?
I'm sure that it would, Mr. Vice Mayor, only because they're going to, since they're bringing back an item that they previously voted on, it normally contains all the information from the first reading and decision-making of it. It most certainly should already be there.
Almost certainly should, maybe, if it's sent, it is there. That's just what I'm looking at, so. I mean, there's pros and cons, I understand, but I don't know. Doesn't hurt to tell them twice, in my opinion. That's all I got.
It appears as there's anything else left to this. Any public comments on this item?
There is none.
Anybody care to make a motion on this? In which case, I guess no action means that the letter does not go. So,
The existing letter stands.
yes. All right, then,
Is that okay with you, City Clerk?
All right.
Okay.
then we can move on to general public comments.
There is none.
We have none. Moving on to Commissioner Communications. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, can't remember if we had a meeting in between there or not, but we did go to Tallahassee. That was a fun 3 days. Actually got to meet and talk with legislatures and get some points across, so it was a good time. Recently, though, this past weekend, I got to marry off my daughter, which was a very good day. And we had 3 different cliques of family there, and everybody got along, and it was just a great day. And then that was Saturday, and Sunday we ended up having a celebration of life for Elaine's mom down here. They had one up north, but since all the family and everybody was down here, we went to a nice little park on the river. It's called like Island Walk or something down in Punta Gorda. But the whole weekend just turned out to be a blessed, great weekend, and everybody's starting to travel back now. But I just wanted to give congratulations to Michael and Cheyenne Davis. And there's no takebacks, so thank you. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, Mr. Langdon, I'm going to skip over you since I know you file your reports, or would you like to comment?
Well, I'm going to comment.
Well, there you go. You're up.
Yes, don't ever assume when it comes to me, Mayor.
You're up.
I apologize. I have not submitted my activity report in time for it to be attached. So I will give a verbal report this time. I just wanted to share at our last MPO meeting, there was a presentation on the on-demand program. For those who might not be aware, a few years ago, most of our fixed route transportation routes were discontinued in favor of an on-demand call-up, and you would be driven from point A to point B. A lot of really great statistics, and if after this meeting, city clerk or someone from her office can work with me to figure out how to extract just those slides from the briefing package for the last MPO meeting, I would like to attach that presentation to this agenda item, to my report. I will just share with you at a very, very high level. In Northport, we have one fixed route left. It departs right out here from in front of City Hall, traverses through Welland Park, and ends up in Venice. In this past year, 22,403 trips occurred on that bus, and the average cost per passenger of Route 9, the fixed route, was $26.81 to $29.32. In comparison, our on-demand service in 2024, 201,716 trips. So the on-demand has been a very successful program of FDOT, and the average gross cost per trip of the on-demand service is $11. So significantly, seems counterintuitive, but significantly lower cost per trip than our fixed route. So I will work with City Clerk after this meeting to see if we can't get this quarterly update up for anyone who might want to look at it. I'll attach it to my 25-2129. I'm done.
And you cleared the room.
I'm good at that.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Duval.
Yes, I'm going to go back a couple of weeks here. I did attend the mayor's State of the City at Solis Hall in Welland Park. I attended the ribbon cutting for the HCA Welland Park Emergency Center. We all did attend the FLC conference in Tallahassee. I also attended and I want to say congratulations to District Chief Walla Gora. I attended his flag ceremony and retirement at Station 86. I attended our Do the Right Thing recognitions here in Commission Chambers. I also attended a town hall that we were all at Station 86 on the special election referendum questions. And on March 29th, I was down in Punta Gorda at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. March 29th is now known as Vietnam Veterans Day. And on the same day, I also attended here in Northport at the American Legion, an event that they had. And while I was there, I also spoke to a lady about the honor flights that go out of Punta Gorda for our veterans. And she asked me to ask the commissioners to write letters of support. There wasn't enough time because the honor flight is today. There was not enough time to get that on the agenda, but I did write a letter and submit that to her. And also, I will be there tonight, approximately 9:30, when the honor flight returns from Washington. And if there's anybody in the public that's listening to this meeting, I ask any of you that can to also go and say thank you to our veterans. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have Commissioner Petro.
Yes, I attended the Tallahassee legislative session, meet up with our representatives. It was fun to see all of them, get to know my fellow commissioners better. It was a really quality time spent. And we did all attended that town hall special meeting for the referendum questions. It was nice because people could come and ask questions and have a discussion. And this is very rare. So I encourage all of the public, if they're listening now, to come to our next one, which would be April 26th, correct?
4th.
No, the date.
Yeah, April 24th.
24th, I'm
6
sorry,
o'clock.
24th. And it would be held at Suncoast College at 6 p.m. And that's about it for me as far as my attendance or what I did. But I also have two things to bring it up, and I felt it would be more appropriate to do it now, since we have this Doge buzz going on in our city, and I just want to ask a few questions. Well, first, I'm sure you all read about or seen that the letter from the Office of Governor that he sent to our city. And he outlined 5 things that we have to respond. And I read the response from our city manager. As a member of the board, I want to state that I'm all open for this Dodge thing, that I feel that the citizens have this notion that we're hiding something from the city citizens, that we have spent the money, but as a policymaker, we have nothing to do with the operational. But there's one question I want to ask the city manager, if he can address number 5 from that letter, which says, an unreserved or a total fund balance deficit in the general fund or any major operating fund that persists for 2 consecutive years. And I looked it up, and the road and drainage district fund has a balance, I think it has still have a, I'm not sure if it's a 2nd consecutive year or if it's a 3rd consecutive year. If you can publicly comment on that, so we will know and the public will know if there's any discrepancy with our response and our fund balance.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Petro. And let us state as well, I think we heard from the public, public commenter today, that we don't support the DOJ effort from the governor's office. And let me just say it again, and we can keep saying this until they stop the DOJ effort. The city of Northport is going to fully comply with all of the DOJ efforts, whether it be from the state or the federal government, wherever we get the direction that we need to bring to this commission. We are always going to follow the law and do exactly what our governor tells us to do. So we have complied, we will comply, and we encourage and invite them to look at us in any way they need possible. We are not going to send them a written invitation to say that unless they ask us to do so. But anything that they need from us, we will comply with. Based on your question and the fund that you're looking at that has been in the negative stance since we have gone through Hurricane Ian, we did use money for that fund, to repair from Hurricane Ian. That's our road and drainage fund, but the fund itself was never in a negative balance. The lowest it's ever gotten was $12 million. We went below our 20% of our internal policy, but not in policy for reserve, but not negative in the fund itself. The benefit of having that money and being able to show it was a negative was our grace and our proper planning to have the money to pay for ourselves. If that money had not been there, even though it went negative from a reserve standpoint, we would not have had the ability to borrow. And I think that everyone sort of sees that connection into what we're trying to get fixed with our referendum as the ability to borrow. So one thing leads to another, but we were grateful and had the financial foresight of our finance director and her team to only go in the negative from the reserve of what we needed to be there. And per our policy, it needs to go back within a 3-year period. And we are well in advance of that, of putting that money back for future use. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And then next thing I want to ask the board, or maybe just for the sake of discussion, if there's any value to send a follow-up letter to the Office of the Governor stating our current situation as the only city in the state of Florida that cannot borrow without the voters' approval. And the reason is, I'm bringing this up, and probably the only reason, I read an article maybe 2 weeks ago that the governor is returning over $500 million back to the federal government. Yet we are in such a need as a city, simply just for the infrastructure failures that we're going to have, which would be close to $1 billion as an estimate, conservatively speaking. So if there's any value to send a follow-up letter, and I know there are proper channels within that parameter to ask for the money, but to be on the record with the Office of the Governor that we are really the only city which is uniquely positioned from our inability to have money. So maybe to have them, hey, this city is unique, so next time we have a surplus, let's contact that city. So I'm just open for any comments or discussion on that. I just didn't feel appropriate to bring this as an agenda item separately, simply because it's just a discussion.
City Manager, may I address that?
Oh,
Would you mind?
sure. Yes, sir.
Would you mind? The funds that the governor returned to the federal government were earmarked for specific projects, specific things which I believe he felt was necessary to return to the federal government. As far as raising the issue of we are the only municipality in the state of Florida who can't borrow money. I put great faith in our Northport citizens to, after they just narrowly rejected a very broad request in November for emergency borrowing authority, will now that we've listened and tightened up that language, very well may on May 13th approve emergency borrowing for us. So, I'm more inclined to allow that to roll itself out and allow the citizens to speak. Whether or not our state government can lend any assistance in the area were this to fail, perhaps the state might have some thoughts as to how they might help not just our municipality, but all municipalities with regard to reacting and responding to emergencies where there may not be the adequate resources at the municipal level. That's something down the road. But again, those funds that were returned by the governor, I believe, were earmarked for specific things that were not utilized. I believe one of them had to do with relocation of immigration, at which, this governor and legislature, did not feel so inclined to utilize. So I don't think that it's within their discretion to just turn around and use federal dollars for whatever they might feel would be appropriate within the state. But, I don't see the need for a letter. I think it would be inappropriate. But that's just my opinion. City Manager, if you have some thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So from our standpoint and our feedback, like as I said earlier, the letter that we sent a response to, we are, as a staff and a team, almost certain that is not going to be the last thing that we hear from the governor on this effort. So the timing of the first set of questions were directed for financial distress that our city has experienced. And as I said in the letter, in the response, we have not experienced any of those situations, which is a great thing. Our millage rate being the same for 5 years is a great thing, considering how fast we're growing and the activities that we're doing. As we go deeper into the conversation with the governor's EOG Doge team, I am fairly certain we will have an opportunity to stand up and say, look at how great our finances are, look at our millage rate, look at our growth, look at the taxes that we brought in to the state, look at the low debt that we have because we cannot borrow. And to me, that would be the time where you then say, oh, and by the way, since we cannot borrow, and we do have challenges that are of a larger nature than we can continue to pay as we go, you sort of outline the context of that situation to them so that they can better understand. But to sort of say that, hey, we know you're looking at us to see if we have financial distress, let us tell you about other issues that we're having, it seemed like it was sort of not in the right place. I do believe, to Commissioner Petro's point, that we do need to make sure that they know and understand our situation. We have talked to some of their staff, the governor's staff, as it relates to some of the grant money that we're seeking for the police headquarters. And they have been not only receptive to listening about it, but understanding that we have a unique problem. So I think the timing and the presentation matters on how we address them. I think that if we would have sent that initial information in that original letter to that team that we were responding to, it may not have landed in the way that it needs to. But as they dig deeper, we will be prepared to have more informative conversations that will allow us to state our needs and garner their support.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah. I know I've had these conversations with the city manager, but whenever these situations come up, they really do need to be advertised in an agenda item, because not only are we having discussions, Commissioner Petrov had go up and said, we might want to possibly take action to go ahead and send a letter. Well, that's agenda item stuff. Nobody in the citizenry has any clue that we were going to talk about Doge or any of that matter, which they may want to, because I've seen bumper stickers out there that say Doge, no pork. But this time right now, we need, that's for what we've done and everything. If there's going to be action or discussion, it needs to be an agenda item. And we need to stick to that, because right now we're just flying off into the weeds, having conversations that nobody knows that we were going to have. And it's not fair to them. So I just wanted to get that on the record, because it's happened quite a few times.
Good point, Vice Mayor, City Manager.
So, I think Mr. Vice Mayor Emmerich is
Oh, look
talking
at
about Joe's bumper sticker, but,
Pay for that?
yeah, actually it was a gift, from a dear friend. But I think, and Commissioner Petro, if you correct me if I'm wrong, the question of the context was maybe not so much for action today, but to just sort of get a feeling from the commission if it was valuable to put on a upcoming agenda item, if it were directed, if there was support for it to be added to a future agenda item. As I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Petro, but I think that's where he was going. But I think from a staff standpoint, we will definitely cover his concern in one of the upcoming letters or conversation that we're going to have. I know that everyone in our state is putting together their budget at this point in time. I would be very surprised if they didn't sort of want to or try to put their hand in that pot for just about everyone to say, as you are creating your budget, let's talk about some things we want you to think about as cities. They're going to say, we want you to consider some of the areas maybe that we as a state government have noticed that you at a local government could do better and or want to consider. And to me, that would be some of the proactive conversation they would want to have as everyone is compiling their budgets at this point. So that's how I see what they'll do. We understand as a staff, because I've talked to Commissioner Petro, what he's trying to accomplish. And then ideally, we'll be able to weave those two together to bring to you and accomplish what he's trying to get accomplished in the near future. Thank you,
And
Mr. Mayor.
if I may,
Yeah.
the Mayor, just to clarify Vice Mayor's concern, basically two items. The first one is I was just looking for the clarification. There was no action needed about this fund that I think it's Road and Drainage District Fund. It's just I've been asked numerous times by the citizens, and rather create an agenda item, I was just publicly asked the question so the city manager could publicly respond to that question. As a second item, I was just asking if there's any value to send a follow-up letter. There was no action needed as a discussion. I mean, if we try not to even discuss any issues on the dais, how can we even discuss this because of the sunshine laws? I mean, that's all. I mean, I apologize if I've taken any of your time, but this is our job. And I've been asked, I don't know how many times by the citizens about this question, specifically about the Road and Drainage District Fund. And if you guys want, if my fellow commissioners want me to create an agenda item to discuss this in more details, I will. But I don't think there's any action needed for that. And again, the second item, I was just saying, asking the question if there's any value to send a follow-up letter. That's it. It's just, I've been bombarded by the citizens about this Doge thing. And if we don't respond from the dais, how else do we respond? If we have to create an agenda item, I don't see any value to create an agenda item because what are we trying to do with this Doge? I mean, it's not even up to us. It's the governor's office. And we've complied, I believe, 100% from the response and from the testimony of the city manager. I'm just at loss. If I'm prevented from talking, I know these are communication points, but if I can't even communicate my thoughts, what I've been bombarded by the citizens, I don't know what else to do. I mean, I've been quiet for the most part on the dais. I'm just a little bit confused as of
Yeah.
now.
I'll respond when you're done.
I'm done. Thank you.
But the thing about it is if you do it in the way that you want to do it, nobody knows what questions you're going to ask or talk about at the end of the meeting. If it's an agenda item, then the citizens know we're going to talk about the shortfall in road drainage. We're going to talk about Doge, whatever the case may be on what they have advance notice, what they're going to be able to see within that agenda item. And we also all know about the agenda item as well to be able to work with whatever the subject matter could be within the sunshine laws. So to just come up and ask questions, I understand that you're being, you know, humbled by everybody out there for these questions, as are we. But as this stuff comes through, we will address those questions and stuff but an agenda item is better because it's out there, it's advertised, they know we're going to talk about it. Hey, let's pay attention. They're talking about Doge. What are they going to do? But right now, everybody probably just signed up and they have no clue what we're talking about because the meeting was over. That's all I'm saying. It's to put it in proper perspective. Nobody's saying you can't talk about anything. Let's just do it the right way. That's all. That's all I was trying to get at.
And Mayor,
Commissioner
I'd like
Langdon.
to comment also. I'm going to say it a little more pointedly than you did, Vice Mayor. I really take offense at your comment that we're trying to quiet you or muzzle
I
you
couldn't
or
say
not
that.
giving you a voice. That's what I heard. All we're doing is exactly what Vice Mayor said, that the better way to have a substantive conversation on anything is to have an agenda item, because then people know what we're going to talk about. So I certainly don't want to communicate any feeling or intention or message that we don't want to hear from you and that we don't want you to speak. It's just, I have a suggestion. I would suggest that you talk to city clerk. There are trainings on the proper use of agenda, parliamentary procedure that might be helpful. Because again, I'll reiterate what Vice Mayor said, and that is, if we're going to have any substantive conversation on anything, it really does need to be on the agenda so people know we're going to have that conversation and they may want to come and participate. So again, it's redirecting the conversation, not trying to prevent the conversation.
No, by no means. I did say that I've been quieted down, and I said I fairly quiet on the diet. I don't say a lot, but when I say, I make my voice heard. And the only thing is, and I consulted with the city manager before this, if it's appropriate. He directed me that it's fine, especially with this district fund and the follow-up letter. But I'll take into consideration, even for the discussion points, that it has to be put in the agenda. But I do believe the public watches. They do watch it to the end anyways. And I apologize if I did take your time on the dais regarding these discussions.
So that leaves me, tended the, do the right thing. The police put on this past week or so. That's always a pleasure. I love to see and hear about all the great things that our young people do. It's just a special event. I always appreciate like everyone who attends it, and for the commissioners who do, thank you very much. Again, attended our safety building location, town hall. On the referendums, I thought there was some real good discussion. Um, I think it's valuable and appreciate Commissioner Petrov mentioning the town hall coming up on the 24th. That is the last of the three. And it's 6 o'clock at STC. I would encourage people who have questions at all about these referendum items, please come. I think they're invaluable. In addition, I'm also doing on the 25th of April, I will be doing a update at Grand Living, which is in Welland Park. It's a senior and assisted living, but the facility holds up to about 150, hopefully anywhere between 50 and over 100 people who are voting citizens. Some of them, maybe all of them, I don't know, but it'll be an abbreviated state of the city, pretty much an update on what's happening, but also an opportunity to address the 5 referendum items. And I'm working on doing the same thing at the gallery down here. Hopefully I can get it done before the referendum election date of the 13th. So, the more we communicate. Additionally, I want to mention that during early voting, I will be setting up my own tent at Biscayne to advocate as an individual and commissioner for the referendum items. Obviously, I have no authority to order anybody, but I have Mark Franston who's going to be attending with me. But again, our commission calendars, dictate we do have obligations for the city and other things. So, I can't cover them like from opening to closing on election week. It's the 5th through the 10th, I believe, of May. But I would encourage anybody who might have the desire to man that table. Well, that would be great. We'll have extra mailers there that highlight the 5 referendum items, as well as signage for the Back to Blue, which, again, we're prepared, not by the city, but by outside support group. Everything we can do to promote this election, I think, is a good thing. Coming up also on the, when is it, 4/19, we have a quarterly business welcome event, which I encourage people to attend, commissioners as well as citizens who might be listening to this. And then on the 22nd, at I believe it's 10 a.m. out behind City Hall here, we have a tree planting for a Greenest City Award. Again, another good event and an opportunity to engage our community and our citizens. And it's worthy to make that one point. We hear quite a bit from vocal voices out there, and they have a platform and a forum by which they make their feelings known about various issues. You can't deny Facebook and social media, but the more we engage our community in their own wheelhouse, whether it's at ballparks, whether it's at special events, wherever it be, we get to touch people in our community who aren't advocating for or against our agenda items necessarily, but they represent the vast majority, our silent majority in this city. And I think it's invaluable to get to know them. And it speaks to the issue I say about how important it is for our commissioners to really immerse themselves in the community. This is not a part-time gig. It is not if you want to represent the whole city. And sometimes I do not deny the right of any vocal voice to speak out. I don't call them a minority. They're a vocal voice on either side of an issue. But there are an enormous number of people who are content to rely on their representatives to represent them. Yet it's important to get a feel for where their heads are at and what's happening with them in their lives. And that's why I encourage everybody on this dais to go to as many things as you can all the time. People love it. People care about it. They are so appreciative that we are out there being part of their lives. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox on that. Other than that, not last but absolutely not least, administrative and legal reports. City manager, you got anything?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Acting city manager, or city attorney, sorry, I didn't mean to promote or demote you, I'm not sure which. Sorry, Jerome, couldn't help myself. And city clerk.
I have nothing.
All right, I guess if there is nothing else, folks, it's 11:50 and I adjourn this meeting.
Are we doing new